if this guy won't listen to me, I'm gonna do it myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start this video off with an apology. An apology for what I'm about to show you, because I'm about to show you one of the most insufferable and god-awful podcasts you've ever seen. Because, ladies and gentlemen, KSI, we all know who KSI is, and lots of the criticisms around KSI, went on the now drama-hungry and drama-stirring chunkz' podcast. In this podcast, chunkz critiques the Sidemen a lot, and just the way he comes across and how he phrases it, it's very clear that chunkz is just incredibly annoyed and frustrated with things that the Sidemen have said about his group channel Beta Squad and stuff they've done against the group channel. And instead of defending the Sidemen at any point for the critiques that chunkz is laying out about the Sidemen, KSI just decides to throw all his friends under the bus and basically claim that, you know, I've got no involvement here, I'm fine, I've been trying to tell these guys that and they just won't listen to me. So ladies and gentlemen, strap in, because this is the most insufferable podcast you've probably seen in a while, maybe since the iDubbbz one.
Your question in terms of your Sidemen videos, right?
Yeah.
A lot of them are about 17 hours and a half, the videos, right? Like, they are so long.
It's very long.
Like, if I'm being honest, as a consumer, someone that watches YouTube,
it's long.
I can't get around to finishing.
Yeah. But I keep telling, I keep telling Josh.
Yeah.
Because he's the guy. Let's be honest. He's the guy. I keep telling Josh.
Of course, this isn't like an egregious example of KSI throwing his friends under the bus, but one thing that should be noticed, of course, is that the Sidemen is a group channel. The consensus there should be that all the decisions fall on all of them, not just one of them. So when KSI is talking about this, it should be as a group channel, not as an individual.
Yeah.
Bro, we need to stop, making these long-ass videos and try and capture more of a wider audience, because yes, we're pleasing our core audience that have been there for forever, but like, how are we ever gonna grow? And then it got to a point where I was like, you know what, fuck this. I'm just gonna do it my fucking self.
You're going to notice in this, KSI tries to build this narrative like he's a victim within the Sidemen, like no one listens to him, that all of these people are against him, really. Responsibility involved in a group channel falls on everybody, not just one or two people. Realistically, his response should be here saying, yeah, I do agree with you, and that's something that we need to make a change, not just immediately throwing his friends under the bus. It's all about wording and how you phrase that transparency.
If this guy won't listen to me, I'm gonna do it myself.
So, but this is what I'm saying to you. So, you guys are doing like long videos, right? Yeah. In your opinion, when you're watching the Sidemen videos, like if you do, are you saying every video is a 10 out of 10?
It's genuinely an outrageous standard to have. Not every video is going to be a 10 out of 10, an 8 out of 10 in terms of quality or how good you think it is. There are going to be some videos that are maybe 6 or 7 out of 10s, because not every video can be perfect. And that's where this perfectionist mentality comes from, and that's where lots of burnout comes from, because you want to make the best of the best video, but you never feel like you are making the best of the best content. So I do think it's unfair to ask that question and phrase it that way and try and create this narrative, because not every video is going to be a 10 out of 10, because that would be genuinely outrageous and you get burnt out so genuinely quickly. That is just not feasible on YouTube to do.
No, of course not.
What would you give it an average rating of your videos that are coming out? As be honest, this is what it's about.
I'm trying to... Okay, wait, let me...
Yeah, what are you doing? You talk to a lawyer? What are you doing there?
Wait, no. I said, let me see...
See your last videos. Well, I've got it right here to me.
Okay, fine.
Brother, I'm prepped.
It's very clear in this podcast, chunkz' mentality is trying to show the Sidemen up. I'm not a Sidemen viewer, I'm not a big Sidemen defender, I've heavily critiqued the Sidemen and KSI on this channel. But it's very clear that chunkz is trying to heavily critique the Sidemen, is trying to show them up on this podcast. His attitude, his tone of voice, and the way he's coming across it very much screams that he's trying to just shit on them a bit.
So as you can see, your last upload, Sidemen opened 100 mystery doors, 5.8 million views 4 days ago. Let's not cap, that's amazing views.
No, yeah, of course.
But I feel like you guys kind of now stagnant around that 4 to 9 million region.
Bro, and I've been saying this.
Yeah, but
have you, KSI, have you been saying it's genuinely like every bit of critique? It's like, no, it's not my fault. I've been saying this. I've been trying to push for this change. It's all been me. He will then later mention that Simon and a little bit Vic is also kind of on his side in some of these arguments they're having or these discussions. But KSI is very much painting this picture like it's him versus the rest of the Sidemen. Like he's pushing for change and just no one's listening to him. This podcast as well, as you're about to see later, KSI's ego is just on full display.
And this is me viewing it as of right now. Hour and 38 minutes. One before hour 50. One before hour 50.
You ain't clicked any of these videos.
Of course I haven't. course I haven't. Because I don't have 2 hours where I can just sit down and watch a video.
The thing is here is if you are going to be critiquing the content and the quality of said content, if you are then going to follow up by saying, well, of course I haven't watched them, like, you know, how long they are, if that's your critique, that's fair enough that they're just long. But the critique here is also they're not of good quality per se. A lot of it is quantity over quality is chunkz' argument, which will be made apparent. You can't critique said quality if you haven't watched the latest videos or watched the content. I will happily critique the Sidemen on things that I know about, but I'm not going to go and critique the Sidemen on pieces of content that I simply haven't watched just because they are longer videos and I don't prefer longer content.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say in general is, if you yourself is aware that the videos aren't at a great quality, then why would us as Beta Squad upload a video weekly and we know that we don't like it? Why wouldn't we now decide to do our concept, which is seasons, drop each video? For me, season 1 that we dropped, I sat down and watched every single one of these videos and I said, for me, 8, 9, 10 out of 10 guaranteed. I'm so happy with these videos. And they've all smashed, they've all banged, they've done well. Everyone loved the return. Of course, the bad thing about it is it's not going to be as consistent because we're going to maybe take 4-week quote unquote breaks. But in those breaks, we're still filming videos and making sure the edits are great. So right now, if we could compare videos in terms of, as a content creator, you can watch the Sidemen video, you can watch a Beta Squad video. In your opinion, do you think your content is better than ours?
Again, a lot of these questions come across that chunkz is very salty, that Sidemen have been very open and spoke out against the Beta Squad. For example, copying some of their video ideas and even copying their thumbnails one-to-one, basically.
I say though, bro, because those videos are fresh, they're organic, they're new, they're authentic. You can get the vibes in the video. Whereas I feel like with you guys' videos, it's like the main purpose is to drop one every week. It's not about whether it's a banger, whether it's just to drop one. And what happens there is, I feel like fans over time will probably be like, this is a bit samey, this is a bit boring.
And I definitely see that.
It's like KSI's bog standard response to every single critique that chunkz is levying against the Sidemen, right or wrong, founded or not founded. KSI would just respond, no, I've seen that, I've brought this issue up, no, I 100% agree, and then he just proceeds to throw the rest of the Sidemen under the bus and create this narrative like he's this unheard voice in the Sidemen. Even if that is the case, would you really want to throw all your friends under the bus on a public platform instead of trying to communicate with them in a better, well-meanered manner? If you know that this is the case, if you feel like you're not being listened to, have that conversation with them instead of airing this all out on a podcast. Because at the end of the day, the Sidemen is a group channel. The responsibility falls on all of you, not just one of you.
But think of it like this. I'm the guy that going, we need to make a change. We need to make a change. Let's do something. Let's switch it up. And then everyone's pointing at me, being like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and of course, you're gonna be like, fuck it, say no more. Then I'm gonna do my own thing, which you have done. But I'm saying, so then how could you come in here and say,
like, even the fans are there like, bro, shut the fuck up.
So,
and I'm like, oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, because that's what they like, but that's your core fan base. But like I said, so then now I hope you can understand as to why we've decided to do this structure.
I get it.
Because we're actually dropping heat.
I think it is incredibly important to take criticism on board, all types of criticism, hear what they're saying, and then respond in a well-meaning and fair manner. But what KSI is doing here is just painting himself to be like, you know, I 100% agree with you, 100% agree with you, but the Sidemen just won't listen to me. All you'd have to do in this case is say, yes, I agree with you, and that's 100% something that we need to try and work on and improve at the Sidemen, because that is a group project.
It's a good video, it's been edited well, etc. But like, then there's some others where it's just like, this is a sleeper. This is CBA or meh. But like, I don't know, like I've always pushed the guys, and I'm sure they're gonna be sick of this, me saying this, but I've always pushed them saying like, we should be a global entity.
100%.
We should be huge. Some of the guys just don't care for that though. Some of the guys are just
comfortability though, bro.
Happy to be comfortable.
Wonder why some of the Sidemen might be fed up and might not want to hear you say things like this, because not only does it just come off as incredibly egotistical and a great way to openly criticize you, but it also creates drama and controversy around the group, acting like there's a rift in there, that there's a lack of communication and transparency happening within the group. His motivation throughout this podcast is very clear, because a lot of it is heavily Sidemen and Beta Squad focus. It is heavily focused on this quote-unquote rivalry that they have, and it's very clear that chunkz is annoyed by the fact that the Sidemen have made comments about Beta Squad, and a lot of it just comes across of clip farming, right? That chunkz wants a lot of this to be clipped up and posted online to create some kind of controversy, dialogue, drumroll, whatever it may be, to pump views to his project.
But okay, in terms of your group, is it like a democracy where it's 4 votes?
4 votes, yeah. Which is fair.
Yeah, it's fair. But you're saying to me that it's 6v1.
No.
so some people
Simon's
are
on
saying-
my end.
Okay.
Simon's on my side.
I honestly don't even blame Chunkz for having that impression, because KSI has vocalized it in such a way that it makes it seem like it's KSI versus the world, KSI versus the rest of the Sidemen, until he clears it up here.
To convince the others, because guys, we want to see top quality videos.
Well, that's it. But I mean, that's why with my own channel, I'm going ham.
Yeah, no, I
I'm going
respect
ham
it. I
and
respect
showing everyone like it can be done. And then, you know, eventually when I do get the results,
Then show them.
then I can then go to Josh and go,
KSI honestly just needs someone standing there 24/7 to make sure he's phrasing what he's trying to say in an accurate way and in a way that doesn't screw over all the people around him. Because I get what he's trying to say, but his phrasing and wording has done him in completely.
I've watched Sidecast, I've seen some clips, and people love to send stuff over where there's slight digs, indirects.
What, you
At the
guys?
Beta Squad.
At the Beta Squad?
Yeah, we're just minding our business.
What, the lovely, nice side, the Beta Squad? All the friendly guys who...
The friendly, nice guys.
Like we said throughout this video, it's very clear that Chunkz is annoyed by the comments that the Sidemen have been making on their Sidecast podcast. If that is the case, just be open and transparent about that, saying you don't appreciate these comments, instead of trying to do this where you're trying to create some drama and controversy, trying to clip farm around it, instead of just being open. It's very clear that these things have annoyed you, that they've got on your tits a little bit. Just speak about that. Why are we doing this whole game when it's like, you know, I've seen these comments, I'm just going to ask questions that are going to cause drama around the Sidemen in this podcast because I'm clearly annoyed.
I don't know, there's always mentions of like our group, whereas I feel like we never speak about you guys publicly.
okay.
So do you think, is it like trolling? Is it like just like what's this quote unquote rivalry about? Because I feel like maybe the fan base is what made the rivalry, which it always
of course,
do.
it normally is.
But then
yeah.
you guys also add to it to make it more of a rivalry.
Well, Chunkz, you're doing exactly what you are getting a little bit annoyed at the Sidemen for doing. You are sitting here and openly critiquing them in response to them doing that. That is just a hypocrisy point there. And as well, you can't necessarily say that you don't, or the Beta Squad don't talk about the Sidemen in a negative light or make comments, as most recently you and one of your guests openly spoke about the Sidemen, and there were a few comments made there that stirred up a controversy.
Get the comments and everything. So some people take it too much, as in like they take what they say is gospel.
Yeah.
Whereas I kind of just take everything with a pinch of salt.
We would love to know what the reaction of the Sidemen is going to be to this, and how KSI has phrased things, and how KSI has like put himself on a pedestal during this episode.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, cool. I listen a lot.
Yeah.
And then I make my own decision from there. But yeah, in terms of like the rivalry, yeah, I mean, maybe some of the other guys will say something differently. I don't know if the other guys would ever come on here, but
I'm not sure. Obviously, I feel like people are probably asking why is it that we haven't done like collabs and stuff.
together.
But if you're to look on their channel,
we have.
We have on your channel.
yeah. Have we not on yours? Yeah.
And you're not on ours.
Yeah.
And
It's not that you went to America
but
yet.
I have.
And I'm gonna say
I
why.
have.
I'm gonna say why.
I have.
Because we were meant to do. So what happened was you guys came to our house to do hide and seek.
Yeah.
There was another one where we did a Among Us video. I'm pretty sure. And there's another one as well. I can't think of the top of my head. You guys have never appeared on our channel, and
Yeah.
it's not up to us because we would love for you guys to jump on. But there was one time we asked you guys to jump on. You agreed. Everything. The group consensus was happy. And then you said something along the lines of, well, we only have 3 hours or something. But the day that you guys filmed with us, or we filmed with you guys, it wasn't about time restrictions. We're just trying to be there for each
There's
other.
a few things here. I think it's incredibly funny, KSI putting his hand up and shouting, I have, in terms of him going on the Beta Squad channel. Secondly, as well, if that's an issue that Chunkz has had, and maybe the Beta Squad as a whole have had with the Sidemen, where they've not dedicated their full time or cooperation to making a collaboration for their channel, and they've only had 3 hours, maybe raise that with the Sidemen instead of springing that on KSI in a middle of a public podcast. You have the Sidemen's numbers. If you felt burned by that, or you wanted to get that off your chest, and you didn't like how that came across, why wouldn't you just message them and communicate with them and actually be transparent with them instead of just saving this up for a podcast to get a quick clip?
But then when it's on the flip side, it was like there was time constraints and etc. etc. So it's kind of like, what's the reason?
It's not fair, innit?
Clearly
but,
not.
but I don't know.
It's not up to you.
It's not up to me.
Okay, what I'm getting from
no.
JJ is, yo, I hear what you're saying. It's not me.
The entirety of this podcast is just pushing the blame onto everybody else.
If I can, I'll do it. Like, and I, give you the time. Like, so many YouTubers can't ever shield me saying that I'm not really.
No, bro, I can't lie. genuinely, hand on heart, I'm gonna sing your praises. It's not glazing. It's me just appreciating
It's
the fact that you're genuinely like the most humble person that I know in this YouTube scene out of my friends. Like genuinely, out of the debate squad. Like in terms of being as big as you are, you don't have to be as nice as you are.
Well, yeah,
so it's nice and refreshing.
It's such an amazing clip. Yeah, I hear that a lot. But people dick ride me all the time. People say I'm such a nice and kind guy, even though I don't have to be. I do get that a lot from people.
Least favorite.
Someone you don't get along with the most, or maybe you're not as close to. There's nothing wrong with that.
But you must name it.
Can say Vic, bro.
This is a clip that's gone around a lot, and lots of critiques have gone towards chunkz here for just throwing a shot at Vickstar here. Lots of people are saying that this is chunkz comedy, and lots of people are also pointing out that just with how chunkz has come across on the rest of the podcast, incredibly salty, annoyed, and very critical of the Sidemen, it comes across as like an actual shot at Vickstar instead of a joke. And maybe that's just the atmosphere that's been created on this podcast, where this joke hasn't really landed in the way or been received in the way it was intended to. I do want to say as well, as we all know, that at Slotmeal we are all fair people here. I do want to actually give praise to KSI for actually defending Vickstar in this moment in this clip.
No, because I actually like Vic.
Fairs.
Like Vic is cool, and if anything, he's got cooler over the years.
Whilst I've been heavily critical of how KSI seemingly has thrown his friends under the bus in this podcast and how he's worded things and the communication here, I do incredibly respect him here for, you know, not just agreeing with chunkz here and actually defending one of his friends. Now, the next clip is in reference to a guest that chunkz had on his podcast who said that, like, the Sidemen had all gone to private school and just said a couple of negative things about the Sidemen. Now, in response to this, on the sidecast, I would show a clip, but last time I got copyright claim to oblivion, the Sidemen kind of took a couple of digs at Maya for this because it came across as incredibly rude and weird because what she was saying wasn't truthful. Now, here, chunkz is critiquing the response of the Sidemen on that podcast.
Especially with me kind of clarifying what it is she was trying to get at.
Well, when you say it like that, it's a lot. It makes more sense.
Yeah.
But from what we saw, it looked like we just were successful because we were in private school and that was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess it's just miscommunication then, because that's definitely not the case. I feel like what Ethan should have done potentially is check what it is she was trying to get at, and then if she basically stood on business and said, yes, I was saying that.
No, not really. If somebody has said something publicly about you, you have every right to respond publicly. There is no need to reach out in that instance because they have actively said something to you publicly. I could also throw this in chunkz' face here and say from the way it's been presented, it came across very much that when the Sidemen only had 3 hours to film with the beta squad, they hadn't actually spoke about that before this podcast. And chunkz, instead of talking to them directly, actually just threw this in KSI's face on this podcast. Well, chunkz, you could have had the opportunity to reach out to the Sidemen and have a dialogue about that and clarify a few things and sort that out, but you didn't. You threw it on a podcast. That's all I wanted to talk about in reference to this podcast. There is quite a lot to critique about KSI in this podcast. I do appreciate the fact that he did stand up for Vickstar, but the way he's communicating with chunkz and just throwing his friends under the bus and acting like, you know, he's done nothing wrong or whatever, the criticism doesn't apply to him, is just so funny. And how chunkz is just very clearly, blatantly annoyed by the things that the Sidemen has said, but just kind of won't own up to that and has just instead kind of been poking the Sidemen and critiquing them in this awkward way throughout this podcast is also just absolutely hilarious. Everybody watching, what's your thoughts? Please feel free to leave a comment down below, and whilst you're done, they consider leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss a future upload. But I've been your host Samuel, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Goodbye.